What is up, everybody? Maine Fly Guys here with another tutorial. Today I am doing my hot bead leech, which is my most popular or most abundant fly that I have sold to date. I have sold I think a little over 1,000 of them. I typically don't use this hook. Typically I will use a mustad streamer hook, just like that. It's actually, what is it? It's called Streamer Straight, and it's 2X. I really like that. But this is a Firehole 718, which also, as you can see, is just a mean looking hook there. So this is also a size 8. Size 8 seems to be the best, for sure. So what I'm going to do is, I have just a little dubbing here, and I'm going to tie in an undertail going back. I don't do this with all of them, but I do with some. It just kind of adds a little hot spot underneath the tail, kind of giving it a little, just a little something extra. And so I just kind of comb that out. Great. Next I come in with some zonker. This is olive. This is my most common color used. The tail is really important. You want to parse out your fibers really carefully because you don't want to trap any fibers down when you go to tie it. You want the tail end, so there's our rabbit strip. You want that tail end to be no longer than the shank of the hook. So what I do is I go up, measure it, and say, okay, there's my tie-in point. So I'll peel my fibers back, lay it down on top. I do 1 loose wrap, 2 loose wraps, that's it. And then I'll cinch down. Pull your material up, go out front, and I sort of do a wrap out front and then pull back. So wrap out front, pull back. Wrap out front, pull back. Now there's many things that you can choose to do here. I usually just keep an orange thread body. That's usually what I do, is just keep an orange thread body. Sometimes I'll take that same orange dubbing just to give my body a little bit more bulk. Oftentimes I won't, but I lost my only one with a bulky body the other day in a tree. So I need another one. So that's why I'm doing this today. So here I'm just adding, this is just orange dubbing, just making a noodle. Again, it just makes a little bulkier body. That's it. So there's our bulky body. You can brush it out if you want. Again, I don't, but. So we're going to take our rabbit strip and we are going to lay it back on top. So I'm going to take my fibers and I'm going to cut it off right where the fibers connect to the skin there, right behind the bead. Sometimes I even go a little bit past the bead. And then I'm just going to go once, twice, pull down nice and tight, come over the top, do a few securing wraps out front, and then you want to cut as close as possible. As close as possible. I'll then take a bodkin and push that little leftover piece into the bead. This bead is I think it's 3/16. Is that right? It's a 3/16 bead. After you've pushed that in, then you come in with your really tight securing wraps. So you see you have this nice little body, really cinched down. Oops. There we go. There we go. Really put a lot of securing wraps down. Squeeze it nice and hard. There we go. Then we're going to make a dubbing loop. So I'm just looping the thread over my finger. I'll work back. I like to wrap the thread around twice. There's my dubbing loop. And you want to come back about a bead back. So it's like the length of the bead back. Alright, how are we looking there? Pretty good. So, for our dubbing loop, we're going to continue to use that rabbit fur. So what you're going to do is you're going to come to the end that is not going with the grain. So here, this is going with the grain. You're going to go to the opposite end. Here's an opposite end. And I want to take, well, let me see if I can fluff it up for you. What I'm going to do in my clamp is I'm going to take this. I'm going to take these fibers and I'm going to put them into my clamp here. I'll show you in a second. Alright, so I have my material in my clip there. Now I'm going to slide that into my dubbing loop. So I've slid it in, close the loop, release the material. Before I spin it though, I want to go through and make sure that all of my fibers are aligned. And if you find that you have some clumping, then you might want to spread some of those fibers out. Because if it gets clumpy, then it doesn't make as nice of a collar. So you see I'm just going through and adjusting the tips to make sure that they're even all the way down. So we have nice even tips on this side. Once it's good, then I will start spinning it just a few times just to trap those fibers. And then I'll finally give it a solid couple whirls. Before you really go to town on it though, what I like to do is sort of just with your fingers, just pull some of these fibers that get trapped. I kind of just pull them out. It helps make a cleaner brush. So there's our brush. You see it's quite nice and fluffy, which is what we want. So then what we're going to do is as we begin to bring it around, we're really going to work the fibers back. Really fluff them up, work them back to make sure that they're not getting caught. Because if they're getting caught by the previous wrap, then they won't be as fluffy and it won't lay down quite nice. You can also wet your fingers a little bit. See, I just wet my fingers. That will help lay the collar down. And on my last turn, I want it to be pretty much my last turn to be right up against this bead, like as far as I can possibly go, because I don't want this great big gap in between my collar, right? So do you see how there's really no gap? So what I'm going to do is catch that thread once, twice, and then I'm going to pull it down pretty firmly, trim off, trim off this brush, get as close as possible, and then no more wraps. You're going to go right into whip finishing, because again I want that space to be pretty minimal. So I'm just going to take my whip finisher and do 4 turns, cinch it down, trim it up. Because these get pretty beat up, you know, you can use them for trout and stuff, but bass really like them too, and so they get pretty beat up. So I do usually come in with just a drop of super glue and put it right on top of that tie-in point. And so here's what you end up with, just a really great buggy looking leech that has been really killer for me in the past and continues to be killer. I'm actually going to try and go catch a fish on it today, so maybe there will be a fish picture in this video as well. So it's a great pattern. Please let me know if you have any questions, or if you'd like to order some, because we sell literally dozens of these every month. If you're having any questions about materials used, just let me know. We also have a new podcast out, so if you can go check that out. It's called In the Film, found anywhere podcasts are. That would be great. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube page. We appreciate the follow, we really do, and we love the interaction. We just like talking fish and flies, and so reach out if you get any questions. So that's it. We'll catch you next time.